Welcome to The Human Experience, a podcast about the stories we live out every day and the importance of championing the vulnerability and courage of the storyteller. I'm your host, Jennifer Peterkin, and it was through my own lived story of experiencing domestic violence that this podcast was created. By traveling the globe and interviewing each guest in person, I am convinced now more than ever that stories have the power to change the world. You can join our community of storytellers by subscribing, leaving a rating and review, signing up for my newsletter, following me on Instagram, and more. Thank you for being here. In a world full of noise, to listen with intention is an act of resistance.
Derek, thank you so much for sitting down with me and doing this interview about your story. We are in Florida. Are you from Florida originally?
Born and raised in Fort Myers, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, been here my whole life.
Okay. Haven't lived anywhere else?
A couple years in Tennessee for college, but came right back to
Florida.
Florida.
You go. All right. Florida through and through. Do you love living in Florida?
I do love living in Florida.
Okay. As a northerner, I have to ask you why.
Well, obviously, I was born here, but I love living in Florida. I don't like where Florida's headed.
No.
As far as overpopulation and all that stuff. But I think Florida is so unique because you have both oceans. Mm-hmm. South Florida is vastly different than North Florida.
Okay.
So the amount of different experiences you can have in one day in one state is
See, I feel
unique.
like that about where I live, though.
Where
I
you?
live outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
So
I don't know
like
anything about
2
Philadelphia.
hours to the beach, 2 hours to the mountains, 2 hours to New York, 2 hours to DC. I feel
Maybe
like we're
I
in
don't
like
know
the
where Philadelphia-
center
There's
of
only
the
2 hours to the beach?
Yeah, in Jersey. I mean, it's not Florida beaches.
Okay.
So don't get your hopes up, but they do have beaches. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean.
I do, yeah. I
Yeah.
feel that way. I couldn't deal with the heat, I don't think, all the time.
No? You get used to it.
I guess.
Not really.
Okay. All right. Well, Florida born and raised. Florida, you are here to stay. So if I ask you, what is your story? What
Yeah.
is that? Where do you start that?
I started with my story is one of extreme transformation is where I would start it. My story is a beautiful representation of your past not defining you. It's a beautiful representation of what's possible in your life. That's where I would start.
Okay.
And then there's so many layers to it.
I know I purposefully don't know a whole lot about it, but
Yeah.
what I do know, I'm like, we've got a lot of ground to cover. I feel like you've lived a lot of life.
That's fair to say. That's fair to say. Yeah.
So growing up, you grew up in Fort Myers. That's the Gulf Coast?
Yeah, Southwest Florida, Gulf Coast. Yep.
So yeah, what would you say is like the first shift in your story or the first mark of, the path you were headed down to get to where you are today?
The first shift was when I was about 7, with my father being sent off to jail, prison. I didn't know it was a monumental shift. I didn't know it would drastically affect my life until my late 30s. But that was really the catalyst for me to change the way that I showed up in life.
Okay.
As an only child. Obviously, once he goes away, it becomes a single mom situation, and she has to do what she has to do.
For sure.
And does her absolute best to make sure I'm taken care of. But that also leads to me believing that no matter what I do, people will abandon me, and mainly the people that I love the most, because I watched my father get taken away, so clearly it doesn't matter what I do. And then with my single mom juggling everything, things like sleeping outside the school gates before sunrise until the maintenance man would let me in. Again, didn't matter what I did, I had to do that. And obviously, you know how school is and elementary kids and all that, they don't tend to want to hang out with the kid that sleeps outside and all that stuff. And so it just really caused me to always feel like people are going to leave my life, in a sense of, I wouldn't say loneliness, but I would say alone, and trying to navigate that. all the way into having my son. He was born when I was 16. And then being a teenage father, again, with high school. Even though I was very much part of his life, his other side of his family would try to say that I wasn't, even though it was very clear. And then I kind of relived the same thing where no high schooler wants to be friends with a quote unquote deadbeat father. So once again, I'm back in the alone trying to navigate those things and really never ever actually processing what happened when I was 7 kind of bled into my adult life. Ended up getting married, ended up in divorce where I got left. So which kind of like solidified everything. And subconsciously, that was kind of like a switch in me that said, okay, enough's enough. I'm only going to look out for myself.
Okay.
And I will never let somebody abandon me again.
What age are you at that
So
point?
at that age, I'm like late 20s.
Okay.
And so that flip kind of switched in my head. And then so that started looking like me working really hard, building a successful fitness business, getting into a successful long-term relationship. But I knew that this person would leave me because I've been shown that. So that looked like a lot of lying and a lot of cheating on my end.
Okay.
So I had to make sure that when she did leave, I had something on the side and all that. And it became very narcissistic and manipulative with her, but also the people around me. And obviously, people can only put up with that for so long before they will abandon you, right? For good reason. And so at that time, my whole outer world looked amazing. And I was accomplishing a lot of things. I had a great relationship. I ended up becoming a fitness model for quite some time. And so everything on the outside is great. On the inside, I was literally dying because I was causing so much hurt because I knew I was lying, I was cheating, I was manipulating. And then once everybody removed themselves, it was like the biggest devastating blow. Like, how could this happen to me again? And that just put me in a downward emotional and mental spiral that eventually led to suicide attempt, mental hospital, all of that stuff. So my version of rock bottom.
Wow.
And then started a whole new chapter. But at rock bottom, I had to realize that when I was there, I was still blaming everybody else for my actions and never took ownership of it. And so that was you could say, eye-opening time because I had to look around and nobody was around, but they weren't around because of my decisions.
Yeah.
And so I had to come face to face with it and take extreme ownership of it. And once I did that, it was actually the greatest thing ever because once I took ownership of all the bad things, whatever I might have experienced and all that stuff, that meant I still had ownership from rock bottom that I could build whatever I wanted from that point.
Yeah.
So I could choose to use the abandonment issues or I could heal it and design a life that I actually align with.
Wow.
We're getting right into it.
No, I love it. That's perfect. I have so many questions,
Yeah.
but I guess talking about ownership, and I want to talk about this a lot actually, because I think it's such a cool part of your story.
Cool.
So be prepared. How did you realize that that's what had to happen? Because I feel like if you're walking down that path for so long, you're in your, when are you changing this? When is the switch flipped?
So rock bottom hit late 30s.
Okay.
37-ish.
So that's a lot of life to live without realizing that ownership for yourself and your actions is important. So what makes you realize that has to happen?
I mean, for me, it became a matter of life and death. And so something had to change. And somewhere deep inside of me, I knew that this wasn't the life that God had designed for me. And somewhere along the way, I messed it up. And so I had to make because when I was doing all the self-sabotage and all that, no matter how many times I lied or cheated, it didn't actually make me feel good. So I knew it was never like the actual answer. So I'm like, there's some, like, why would I keep doing this if it doesn't make me feel good? Clearly I'm trying to like make up for something.
Sure.
Right. And then that's what I started reverse engineering the things that happened in my life. The people leaving all the way down. I was like, oh, well, that was pretty big at the time when I was 7, even though I didn't have like time to like acknowledge it or see it for what it was. And so that didn't let me off the hook, but it gave me a little room to breathe, to start to understand my behavior and the hurt that I caused. So like I said, it didn't make excuses, but it's like, all right, this kid experienced this at an age and he's worked so hard to never experience that again. Right. And so that allowed me to be like, all right, so this is starting to make sense on why I did these things. Okay. And if I spent all that time and energy working so hard to avoid that, and I've already proven myself that I can create whatever life that I want, if I keep this ownership, it's like my superpower. Nobody can take that away from me once I own it. There's nothing you can call me. There's nothing else you can bring up that I haven't already taken ownership of. And so once I realized that, then I just start addressing things head on. And then like once I have ownership of it, you can't like use it against me.
Sure.
You can use it against me once, right? And we can acknowledge and I can, take that on the chin. But after that, there's not much else anyone else can do.
Yeah.
So instead of being a victim, now I get to control the narrative.
Sure.
Without having to hide anything or be
afraid.
confused. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you started your story at 7. I wasn't expecting that, but I think it's really important
It's
because
super important. Yeah.
I think that we don't necessarily, especially if like everything hasn't been bad, I think we don't necessarily want to start in our childhood.
Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily have the language for it, but we have the feelings. Like the emotions are all there and they're all like stuck.
Yeah.
And so you have to address it or else like it will come out. Like trauma will release itself in some capacity, as you well know. So I think that's really important. Did your family you said you were an only child. Single mom who I'm assuming is just extremely busy trying to make ends meet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you have family or community around you as a child that like recognized what was happening to you?
I think like I've always had a great support system. Like my grandmother, I've always had a great relationship with my dad, all that stuff. But I think everybody was just so busy trying to keep afloat, trying to make sure I'm taken care of. So yes, I'm going to school. Yes, I'm not starving. I'm not neglected. I'm not abused or anything. Right. So everybody's just, I don't want to say going through the motions, but doing the best that they can given the circumstances. Right. And like you said, at 7, like I'm not even able to process or express anything.
Sure.
Right. And so that's where a lot of us get stuck is like whatever self-sabotage we have, a lot of times we'll blame it like on the past relationship or something, but it always stems from something in childhood that made us start to show up differently.
I like that. So you're saying that everybody has an event or a series of events in their childhood that shaped the way that they think, and therefore everything that comes after that is a follow-up. In some way. Yeah,
because if you think about it, there's a small time on Earth from the time we're actually born to whatever that first point of trauma is. And it doesn't have to be some extravagant thing.
Sure.
But there's something during that short time, we're literally our most authentic form. We have no perception of sadness, pain, judgment, any of those things until something at a very young age brings up something and we automatically feel whether it's abandoned or unworthy or unloved or mistreated, right? And we can't process it. But once we experience that, now we're like subconsciously, we're like, all right, I got to make sure I don't experience that again because that was really painful. So we start showing up differently based on those things. So it's always something directly attached to our gifts. So when we're young in that authentic phase, we're just living our gifts, doing literally whatever we want, showing up however we want. And then that trauma will directly attack our gifts. So like, obviously mine was abandonment. The opposite of abandonment is essentially doing what I'm doing now, which is leading others, helping others, connecting with others, right? And so when you can understand that and start to see, okay, I've been carrying this thing that's had me show up not in alignment with myself, then we can be like, oh, this isn't even like, this was never mine to carry. And then we can start releasing some of the shame or guilt, resentment, or whatever it may be that we've experienced in our adulthood or early adulthood, because we know it was never ours.
Yeah, that's good. So I think what's interesting that you said too is that it doesn't have to be some like super serious event.
Yep.
And I think that's an important piece of it, because a lot of times, especially if you don't talk about trauma a lot, your idea of trauma is like soldiers in combat or like, you know, a
something crazy
wife, you know, like something that is like very big T, like end of the spectrum trauma. Yeah. And there are so many, and it is a spectrum, and there's so many little points before that that qualify. Yeah. So what does that mean to you in terms of for people trying to figure out like what that moment is or what those moments are in their childhood, and they don't really know how to qualify that experience? Yeah.
Real quick before I answer that. So like the best way I can explain, like each person's version of trauma is different. And so like if you think about if you and I are in the backseat of a car riding down the road and we get rear-ended, right? And we hop out, I hop out. And I'm like, thank God that was just a fender bender. You hop out and you're like, I'm never riding in the back seat again. I almost died, right? Both of our versions are true to us, right? So like they're both traumatic aversions if we say they are, right? So with that being said, what was your question again? I just want to throw that out there for people to help understand so you don't compare traumas.
It's a good clarification, but I guess that does kind of answer my question, which is like, how would people identify those moments in their life?
So like clients I work with now, so let's just say they're like, you know, I'm stuck in these terrible relationships. Every time I get in a relationship, they cheat on me, or I've been in abusive relationships or whatever. So they have this sense of unworthiness or undeserving, right? So then you would literally just start, I would just say like, okay, prior to this time, when's the last time you had that feeling of being unworthy? And then that was 5 years ago. Okay, what's the time before that? And you can literally keep retracing it until you get to the point, and it's somewhere usually before 8 years old.
Okay.
And then once they see that, they're like, oh.
Do people usually have a very specific event?
It takes a little time to get there.
Okay.
Before, like it took me 30 something years to get to that point. So yeah, you get there. It takes a little work, but you'll see that pattern has always been there, even though it might be different experiences or different people. We call them teachers. The same teacher shows up just in different versions.
Okay.
So again, if somebody's in a bunch of terrible relationships, the person is different, but the teacher and the lesson is the same. That's constant. They keep showing up for you to remember your worth. That thing in the past did not define you.
Yeah.
And then once we reconnect to that earliest version, they can reconnect with that child, bring that child up to speed. And then now they're operating from that same authentic version that was put on this earth. And then just by doing that, you start showing up differently, responding differently, different boundaries, different experiences in life. And so you realize that you're never broken. You've just been carrying something that was never yours to carry to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. How long was your dad in prison?
3 years.
Okay. So when he gets out, are you a family again? Or do they?
No. Okay. No. They divorced once everything went down.
Okay.
And then same thing. So, you know, my dad has to start his life over, which starts a whole new thing, me bouncing back and forth. And all that stuff. So everything's just a byproduct of that earlier version, right?
Yeah.
And so he has his own healing to do. Everybody has their own healing to do, and everybody's trying to find their way. And once you realize that you and me right now, our parents, anybody in this life at the moment is doing the best they can based off the information that they have right now.
Yes.
Right. And once you understand that, you can like let go of some judgment, criticism.
Sure.
Right. And start to understand that, oh, we're all just out here trying to navigate
trying
this
to
thing.
survive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a contributing factor, right? I mean, it just adds, like you said, to the idea you already have in your head.
Yeah.
And then you become a father at 16, you said.
Mm-hmm.
And up until that point, did you have like friends, community, coming in, like going through middle school and high school?
I had like one or two friends, but my one or two friends in high school, they didn't go to my high school.
Okay.
So like I didn't have like that community, didn't go to like prom or like I think I went to homecoming my freshman year and then that was it. So I was always like disconnected from my environment.
Yeah.
And so, but like I said, my family ties, they were always strong. It was just like we're all just in survival mode.
Did your grandparents live around you? Were they close by?
Yeah, my grandmother. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So she helped my mom out. And it's, there's so many like variations. So like kids are going out with their friends, but I'm going to my grandma's, which I loved, right? But I didn't have like that experience of like hanging out with kids and stuff. It was me, my grandma watching me entertaining myself, right? And so...
And being an only child, you didn't have siblings either. So, yeah.
So
that's hard.
Survival mode.
For a long time.
Yeah.
It just kept going. So you have your child. You're in your child's life.
Yep.
When does I think the next thing you said was that you started to believe that if you didn't start leaving people, they would leave you?
Yeah. Well, once I had my child, I was in high school, and I literally had like pictures of me and him on my little trapper keeper back in the day, right? Those things. I don't know if you know what those are. And even though I had those, I was still being called deadbeat and all this stuff. And so I literally was like, all right, well, like, I guess it really doesn't matter if I'm a good person or not. People are going to decide for me either way. And so I kind of carried that. And then after that, like I said, marriage and divorce. The crazy thing about my divorce was, again, if I go back to childhood when it was me and my mom, obviously she's trying to date and start her life over. And she would have boyfriends and they would move in. And like more than one time, we would come home and like everything was gone. Like microwave, TV, furniture. Like we would just sit on the floor, like nothing. And so I'm just showing all these things of like, it doesn't matter. Like people will vanish. And so the way my divorce happened was me and my son came home.
Oh no.
And everything was gone. And so that's what like literally like broke the final straw where like, this is not happening to me again.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. Like it's so crazy, like the experiences people have, right? Because like this sounds dumb, but I've never had that happen once, and you've had that happen to you multiple times.
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, you were not married to your child.
Correct.
Mother? Okay,
correct.
Someone different. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So I understand the straw breaking the camel's back. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you move on? I know it's not in a healthy way, but like, where do you start?
Yeah. So again, if you look at me at that point, coming off this divorce, and I'm looking out for number one. I don't care about anything else, right? But I'm also a decent human, right? And so I start in the fitness business and personal training and all that stuff. And then...
Sorry, is this after college?
This after my divorce.
Yeah, but where are you age-wise in this?
This is mid-20s to late 20s.
Mid-20s. Okay, so you have already gone to college. And
went to college, came back, got married. The divorce kicks in. And then I start building my fitness business. And then from that became a fitness model. So now I'm a fitness model, which comes with a lot of attention, right? And based on my abandonment issues, now I'm getting all this attention. And so really that's just adding fuel to the fire. Like, look at all this attention. It doesn't matter who's around me because I got all this attention. So I'm in a long-term relationship getting all this attention. And so I'm like, you're going to leave anyway, so I might as well take all of this in, right? And use it for as much as I can get from it. So it's like the perfect storm. I'm getting like the most inauthentic worth.
Superficial.
Yeah. Right. And then, like I said, a person can only take so much of that before they're like, peace. And I'm like, and then I can say like, see, I told you were going to leave.
Yep.
Right. And I can just cast it on
yeah.
it. Yeah. But the reality was everything I'd worked so hard to avoid is what I actually manifested. Right. And so I could have kept on that path and being like, everybody's going to abandon me. Right.
Yeah.
And then when I got through the suicide attempt and was at rock bottom, I was like, well, I'm still here. So maybe not everybody's going to abandon me because I'm still here for some reason.
Yeah.
And then so that was like my little toothpick to hold on to and start rebuilding from that.
Yeah. Why fitness? What got you into that?
When I was married, I was becoming like the thing I dreaded, which I didn't want to be, which was like, I'd seen so many people in either divorce or like unhappy with themselves and unhappy marriages, and it was heading that way. So I went through my own like physical transformation.
Okay. So that wasn't what you went to college for?
No.
Nothing to do with it?
No,
Okay.
nothing to do with that. No.
Okay.
I went through my own little mini physical transformation and started helping like one or two like family members and stuff. And then just decided to start doing personal training because I was doing construction at the time. And I was like, I don't really want to do this for the rest of my life. So I started the personal training business, and that kind of took off.
Okay. And then how do you, I mean, I feel like there are a lot of personal trainers out there. So how do you transition from personal trainer to fitness model?
I just got noticed or discovered or found or whatever on social media.
Okay.
By like a modeling agency.
When is this? Like, what year are we in? Because
so much going on. So I was, let's see, I'm 41 now, so about 8 years ago.
okay.
I'm not
So
good at math.
social media is like really in its infancy in a lot of ways in that like particular part of it.
Yeah.
It's not, it's past MySpace, but it's not.
It was like when Instagram was
influencer.
just kicking in,
Okay.
but nothing like it was now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just got discovered through social media and just kind of dove head into it. And then that took off.
Did you enjoy it? I mean, past the superficiality of it.
I enjoyed it in the sense of like, I felt like I had achieved what I'd set out for. Because I do remember laying in my bed, and I don't remember what it wasn't MySpace. I think it was like Tumblr or something, where there was like, and like there was like fitness pictures. And I'd be like, wow, that'd be like amazing to just get paid for people to take pictures of you. And so in that aspect, I was like living a dream, but like I quickly realized like everything was falling apart. And so like the more things fell apart, the more I leaned into that life. And the more disconnected I became from like obviously my girlfriend, but even like my family, and just leaned into that because it was kind of like putting a Band-Aid on what I was avoiding for 30 something years.
Sure.
So
yeah, I mean, if you have genuine relationship with people and you're not living authentically, it's pretty hard to keep like balancing those two things, right?
Yeah.
So your girlfriend breaks up with you, leaves?
Yeah. I mean,
Did you
pretty
keep
much,
all of your stuff this time?
I kept what I wanted this time.
Okay.
But
That's something,
well,
I guess.
I say that because also from my divorce after that, I vowed to like never have enough stuff that I couldn't put in my truck and leave within 5 minutes. Like literally, we can all laugh about it now, everybody that's part of the story, but like just the most like emptiest shell of a boyfriend you could be. Like, who doesn't, like, you guys move in together, and then you like buy furniture together. It's like your place. I'm like, I mean, I'll pay my part, but none of this is mine because I need to make sure that all my stuff can fit in my truck. So this is all yeah. And that's not a good way to live.
No.
Yeah.
It's not. But you got there.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
So your girlfriend leaves. How long after that does it take you to hit rock bottom?
Only a few months, because in Fort Myers, we were both pretty well known, and I was by that time pretty well known.
Was she a model too?
She wasn't, but just in like Fort Myers, she was she knew a lot of people. And so everything about not only our breakup, but all of my dirty laundry was aired out there. And like, it really hit me, and I was just so devastated that I had allowed myself to create so much chaos and all that stuff. And it was really hard for me to bear. And so, like, spiritually, I was dying inside, and like that version spiritually was trying to say, like, this can't go on any longer. But I was physically trying to end it, to escape the pain and all that stuff. And so it only took a matter of months, and through God's grace, my mom just happened to show up at the right time without any warning. And so I got through that, and that's when I started doing learning about my abandonment issues and all that stuff. And while I was doing that, I still had trouble with people, expressing their feelings about me or bringing up my story or anything of that. So like, somebody's words could still trigger me and put me back into a spiral. And so all it took was the wrong conversation with somebody to put me in a spiral. And given what I'd already tried, they automatically just put you in a hospital because they have those records and all that stuff. Right. And so after my suicide attempt is when I landed in the mental hospital.
Okay. And how long was that?
That was a little under 2 weeks.
Okay.
And so the mental hospital was probably like it was probably the best thing that could happen to me, because when I got in there, all you're allowed is crayons and puzzles and coloring books. You don't get to decide when you eat. You don't get to decide when you sleep. You don't get to go outside. You don't get to listen. You don't get to do anything. And while I was in there, it really helped me understand that, like, dude, no matter like what's transpired or how you're feeling, you always have the ability to go stand in the grass, go feel sunshine, turn on your TV, pet your dog, do whatever. Like, your life is not over. God has continued to give you opportunities. And so that really helped me say that, like, there's nothing anybody can say that I will allow to put me back in that situation. And so I just took all my dirty laundry with me and started folding it up, putting it where it needs to go, and essentially started rebuilding my life from that.
Yeah. Did you have faith before all of this, or is that something that you found afterwards?
It's definitely something I found afterwards. Prior to that, I wasn't sure what I believed in. If anything, I believed that there was a higher power, but I wouldn't use the word God.
Okay.
And I wasn't even looking for God per se. But for some reason, I was laying in bed the night before Easter. And again, I wasn't looking for anything spiritual or anything like that. And somehow the resurrection came across my phone, and I just started reading the story. And I was mainly reading the story of, like, right up to the death of Jesus, and how much sadness and pain there was for, like, his mom, the people around him, and, like, everybody thought, like, everything's over. It was so dark for everybody.
Yeah.
And obviously, we know he came back, and, like, something just said, like, dude, like, this is where you're at. Like, you're at the part where it's super painful and dark. But the resurrection story is showing you what comes afterwards, because what comes afterwards is really more than you can fathom, more than you can comprehend. And so that started changing everything. So I started like my own spiritual resurrection.
Very cool.
Yeah.
When you get out of the mental hospital, how quickly do you, I mean, I know you said that was your turning point, but how quickly do you start to take action in that?
So I start taking immediate action, but everything is such a process. So
Yes, it is.
So, and by that, I mean, like, part of me wanted to go around and show everybody how much I changed.
Yeah.
Right. But that's really just me trying to prove something. Right. And so the first part of that process is realizing, like, even if they do forgive you, that doesn't mean you're allowed back in their life. Right. So then that's like another thing, like, all right, so either way, like, you're not granted access back to any of that. And then after that, I spent a lot of time feeling like I'm just here to be the poster child of what not to do in life. So starting helping others and speaking life into them, but also thinking that I don't deserve like the love or a chance again, almost like a martyr, like an example of what not to do. So then that was a process to overcome. And then there was a whole nother process to overcome the amount of social anxiety I had, because I just felt like if I was in public, every single person was judging me or talking about my story. Or if somebody wanted to talk to me, they just wanted to get dirt on me and criticize me.
Yeah.
So like, it was a process of me not medicating myself with pain pills just to pass the time. Like, literally, I had to start off with like taking my dog for a walk downtown, and then taking myself to lunch downtown and all that stuff, and really just getting to know myself again. And the way I got to know myself again was what we talked about. I had to go way back to 7-year-old Derek, and I just remembered all the things he used to enjoy doing, playing outside, traveling, listening to music, and I started doing those things again and really getting to know myself. And now I'm spending more time with that version than this previous version.
Yeah.
And so now my energy, my mindset, all those things change, right? So like, where before I would like essentially condemn myself, I would literally cover my kitchen in sticky notes of every name I could call myself, right? But if I'm spending time with this 7-year-old child, I'm not going to speak to that 7-year-old child like that, right? And so that's how I started to heal myself, was going back to that version instead of me feeling like, oh, I got to become this new person. I just need to reconnect with that kid that never experienced abandonment.
Yeah. Where did you get that framework?
I had a mentor who helped me.
Okay.
I still have him to this day, who helped me understand that process. And then obviously it was a matter of me trusting God and me just doing the work, because I know the worst case scenario, the rest of life, it'll just be me and God. And I'm okay with that. Right.
That's a hard place to get to. Truly.
Yeah. Right. And so like, there's also like, there's freedom in it, because like,
Sure.
what else can happen? I know now, I'm knowing who I am. Now I know, like, I know there's things I'll never do again because that version doesn't exist. So I have like this level of freedom that not very many people have, because I'm completely confident in myself, because I'm connected with what most of us never will connect with. And so in a way, it was like I said, a whole new level of freedom that most people won't comprehend.
Yeah. You said you're 41.
42, now that I think about it.
42.
No, wait, hold on. I'm 41. I'm about to be 42. After 40, it just, It's all the same.
Good to know. But this all happened in your late 30s, so you're really not that far removed from it.
No.
So that's kind of incredible that you're at this level now and comfortable speaking about your story and taking the level of ownership that you do. So, yeah, I mean, I would say healing is such a process, but you seem to have fast-tracked it. What would you...
Yeah.
Why?
So,
how did you do that?
The healing process, like you said, it's almost like it's fast-tracked. And same thing that I tell the clients that I work with. So many times when we feel like we need to go through healing or we need to make changes, we feel like we have to become a new person. We have to start learning new things, when really it's actually a process of releasing. So like that 7-year-old Derek never left. I don't have to go anywhere and find him. Right. So all I'm doing is releasing the old costumes, the old masks, the old baggage that I've been carrying. And that, I don't want to say it's easier, but you spend less time thinking that something's wrong with you.
Sure.
Right. Like I wouldn't go to 7-year-old Derek and be like, here's what's wrong with you. Right. If anything, I'd be like, here's what happened to you.
Yeah.
Right. And then that we can call it fast tracking the healing the healing process, because everything you're looking for is already there.
Yeah.
Where so many of us get stuck because we're searching for something, not realizing it's already inside of us.
How do you heal the wounds, though? Like, for 7-year-old Derek, how do you heal those wounds? How do you do that in such a way that it's not something that reopens for you, or does it reopen for you and you just have the tools to handle it?
I would say the wound is definitely healed once you understand. Obviously, like if I look at myself, every decision I made was based off safety. Every decision we make will always be based off what we perceive as the safest. And that's what my father did. That's what my mom did. That's what their parents did. And so when you can see that your decisions were based off safety, like my decisions, my self-sabotage was all based off me trying to keep myself safe from abandonment. So my dad did the same thing, whatever his perception of safety was. Right. So it would be almost hypocritical to be like, how dare you make that decision when I made the same decision? And then it's a process of understanding forgiveness, what it is, what it's not. And then you literally you realize that it was all based off safety. There was no direct ill will. Even the people that have said terrible things, it's all based off safety, keeping themselves safe.
Yeah.
And when you see it as an act of safety, not an act of spite, those wounds naturally start to heal. Because nobody else can heal those wounds.
Sure.
You're the one that has to heal them. And that comes back to ownership. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
You don't sound so sure.
No. I'm just processing. No, I love what you're saying.
Right, because we're not responsible for what happened to us. We're just responsible for how we respond to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Was it difficult for you to come to terms with the fact that forgiveness didn't mean access?
Yeah. It took me a long time to realize that people told me to my face that they forgive me, but they never want to see me again. You know what I mean? And that also comes with ownership. But that'll let you know if you're actually healing or you're just performing. Right?
Yeah.
So if I go and say, look at me, look at all this work I've done. And they're like, oh, that's great, but I still don't want to talk to you. Do I go back to manipulating other people or do I stay on my path? right? And the more you'll find your response. And so obviously I've stayed on my path.
Yeah.
And like, so there's the healing has been done on that aspect.
Mm-hmm. You use the word narcissist,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is an important word, but I think it's also been
It's a buzzword
diluted.
right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It's very much part of our social vernacular.
yes. Yes.
So what does that mean to you? Because you do use it, and I think that it's not a word we should necessarily shy away from,
Yeah.
but I do think we need to use it appropriately.
Yeah. So I was definitely a narcissist in the sense of only looking out for myself and disregarding everybody else. So not on the level of like physical abuse or even like emotional abuse of like abusing somebody in a negative way, just like making sure I was taken care of and disregard your feelings and things of that. So everything revolved around me and keeping me safe. So the best way I can label it is being very narcissistic. And obviously there's different levels, like any
Sure.
any label.
I have to be so honest with you. When your email first came through, like last fall, and I read it, my heart dropped because I was like, oh my God, I can't interview a narcissist. Like, I'm going to lose my shit.
Yeah.
And then I took a breath and was like, you need to calm down. But yeah, it was, it affected me when I first read it. So it is an interesting word to use, but I think it's a part of your story in the sense that so much of what you've done is about ownership of yourself and being willing to use the hard words to describe and like not sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Which I think is really admirable. And I think is something that we can all learn from, because no matter where you are, you don't always know how much you're affecting somebody else or like what you do and say how that can affect somebody.
Yeah.
But you have to know that you've hurt somebody at some point in your life. Right. And so to be able to take that and say like, yeah, like I messed up and this is how, and this is why. Yeah. And even if I didn't mean to, or even if I know why I did it.
Right.
I still have to take responsibility for that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very transparent for two reasons. One is for people to understand that, you know, your past doesn't define you. There's a reason, and that anybody can change, but also to help women that were in my girlfriend's situation and who have gone through those terrible experiences, to help them understand that it had nothing to do with her. Right?
Your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anybody that's on the opposite end of the narcissist, it never has anything to do with you. And a lot of times the woman will try to overcompensate for the narcissist. And all that's doing is really mirroring how the narcissist feels about themselves, because now you're showing up differently. Now you're bending who you are. Now you're changing how you show up. But if you understand that has nothing to do with you, hopefully that gives you the courage to stay strong and remember who you are. Because any narcissist or someone who lies, cheats, or whatever, it all has to do with how they feel about themselves.
Yeah.
And it's not your burden. Right. And the narcissist will try to put that burden on you. So if you can understand that it doesn't have anything to do with you, you can save yourself a lot of agony, a lot of therapy. So that's
Fingers crossed.
So that's why I'm try to be as transparent as possible about it. And like you said, I think it's overused these days, the word narcissist.
Everybody is. Everyone is a narcissist. Yeah. And it's hard because then, you know, when you work in like advocacy and try to have those conversations, people don't want to listen because they're like, oh my God, just another person using this word, narcissist. Yeah. And I do think language is really important. I think that it's overused, but at the same time, we have to be able to use that word, because I've found in my own advocacy work with victims and survivors of domestic violence that a lot of times they're afraid to use the language because they're so used to protecting their abuser.
Yeah.
It's part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, you start to recognize some of the language that's used and it's very watered down and diluted. And so then you're trying to encourage them, like, say the word abuse, say the word, narcissist, say the word rape. Like, that's what happened to you.
Yeah.
But it's hard to balance that because then you go on social media and everybody is, again, the spectrum.
I don't want to say I laugh, but like, I'm pretty transparent about my story on social media. And when I talk about ways to tell if somebody's a narcissist or how to avoid narcissists or whatever, there'll always be like a comment or a message from females like, this is so helpful. My ex-boyfriend's a narcissist, and they'll be called a narcissist because he said I didn't want to be with you anymore or something like that. And I'm like, well, and then, but also with the same token, they'll be like, thank God you said this. This is 100% spot on. I hate all narcissists. And then I have to respond in the comment like, well, the only reason it's spot on is because I was that person. And then they're like, oh.
Blocked?
Yeah, they give me all this praise, and I'm like, well, there's a reason why it's spot on. They're like, oh, never mind.
Just kidding.
But yeah, like there's different levels, right? Because then you can't disregard the reality of what some people go through.
Sure. It is hard, and I think it's always going to be that way for part of it, right? And like, we're not always going to get it right, and that's okay. Yeah. And there are always going to be people that use the wrong language to describe maybe something that they're going through, but that just means that they're going through something else that they're like not able to like they don't have the language for.
Exactly.
So grace upon grace. Absolutely.
Amen.
That's for myself because sometimes I'm like, are you kidding me? But do the best you can.
Yeah.
So how did your family react when you like started?
Which part?
Let's go back to 7. No, just kidding. When you started this shift, and now like you're very vocal. You're not pretty vocal. You're very vocal about it, which is great.
Yeah.
But how was it for them? Because I assume, maybe I shouldn't assume, do you still have a relationship with your family members?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. So how did they respond to like this seemingly 180 degree turn?
I mean, they're obviously proud in a lot of ways. I know because they've expressed it. I'm teaching them a lot. Like even to this day, like my mom still battles with feeling like she failed as a parent just because she's watched me go through everything. But like last week we had a in-person retreat with like 40 women.
Wow.
And so like,
oh yeah, you said that in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it's helping them understand they didn't fall short because everything I went through is what got me to this point to be able to be this transparent, but also to be able to help others. If I never went through those things, I wouldn't be living out my purpose. So like everything that they did or didn't do happened exactly as it should. And so it's allowing them to let go of some of their burdens or shame or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Instead of like telling them that they did these things wrong. It was all part of the grand design. And by me getting to this side, it just helps them with themselves, feel better about themselves as well.
Yeah.
So it creates like a positive ripple effect.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that watches you the word that keeps coming to mind for you is radical.
Okay.
And I don't mean it in a bad way because I think sometimes it carries a negative connotation. But I think like things like accountability and responsibility, they're words language. They're words we use often.
Yeah.
But they're not often words that we live out.
Sure.
And it's very easy to pass the buck. And, on some level, even if you're living in that as much as possible, nobody's perfect, right?
Right.
So a commitment to, again, like seemingly a pretty much a heading in the opposite direction. You turned yourself around. And coming like to this place where it's all on the table. You're showing all your cards. You don't have anything to hide. I think that's pretty radical, especially in this day and age.
I'd say especially in day and age for sure. And it really comes down to like, there's nothing like I went to the absolute rock bottom, like within minutes of not being here anymore. So like, again, that just opened up so much freedom. Like there's not one person that can leave my life, not my parents, not my son, that I'll ever feel abandoned because I've had God and myself this whole time.
Yeah.
And so while it's definitely radical in the perception of society as a whole, I don't feel it's that radical based on my experience. Like it's either this or the opposite, which I already know how the opposite plays out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas if people, they kind of live in that gray area where they don't really know themselves, but they aren't ready to look at what they don't like about themselves. So they just kind of exist and play it safe. But for me, like this is the safest thing because I know what the other option is.
Sure. Yeah. You have a glimpse into something that a lot of people don't, genuinely, because I think, again, if you're living in the middle and you've made some mistakes, but it's not that bad, right? Like it's very easy for us to justify our own behavior and kind of come up with reasons why we did things. And those may not be untrue, but it still doesn't mean you don't have to take responsibility for where you go after that.
Exactly.
Just repeating what you're saying back to me, making myself sound really smart.
Yeah, exactly.
So I keep thinking about your mom and like, because you said she showed up right before and like where you are now and how happy she must be to see you thriving in what you're doing and just like know how far away you are when you came so close to not being here anymore. Yeah.
Her story alone is a whole nother thing. But like at the retreat and everybody, like they only know bits and pieces. Obviously, they know what she experienced through me, but she has a whole another story that's beyond incredible. But like I still have some guilt of what I put her through in the sense of her having to watch that. Like we did have a conversation of, she pretty much told me that she's going to take herself out because she knows it's only a matter of time before I do, and she'll never be able to survive that. We did have those conversations. And so, again, the best thing I can do is do what I'm doing now and live the way I'm living.
Yeah.
Because I can't take back any of those things.
Sure.
So all I can do is live by example, and she's starting to do the same thing. So, yeah.
How's your relationship with your son?
It's very good.
Good.
It's very good. Yeah.
I mean, I am doing math in my head. It's 20?
He's 25.
25? Okay.
Yep.
So he's witnessed a lot of this as well. He wasn't a kid.
No, he wasn't a kid. And like during that modeling phase and stuff, when I was neglecting everybody, we were distant because of me. But we're stronger than ever now. And given our age difference, still very much his father, but we're like hangout buddies as well.
Yeah, it's fun. You kind of get to turn a corner with that at that age.
Yeah. And then same thing, he gets to witness how I live life, which tends to be different than the most people around him. So I'm giving him an opportunity to observe things differently. And again, that's really the best thing I can do for everybody that I've hurt in the past, is give them an observation instead of just saying something.
Yeah, definitely. So you have already said that okay, hold on. You work with only women or primarily women?
Primarily 99% women.
Okay. Pretty much just women.
Yeah.
Okay, so you work with women, and you said in earlier that the reason that you did that was because of what you put your ex-girlfriend through.
Part of the reason. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What is the response, I guess, or what kind of response have you gotten from people, especially with your story? Like, do people, I don't know, like, was it hard to get that off the ground? Just like working with women, being a guy and being like, hey, I really screwed up in the past and now I'm doing this.
Well, it originally started, like, my coaching business was helping primarily women, but it was really helping women that were in my mom's situation of being like a single mom and trying to maintain her own self-confidence. And because I watched her, like, confidence go down the drain, mental health go down the drain, struggling with all those things, not having like the guidance or the help to keep her on the straight and narrow and help her feel good about herself. And so the program started as like physical transformation for women like my mom, to eliminate all their guesswork so that they could still thrive based on everything they had on their plate. And then I just started sharing like my story on social media, and that, like, so many women started connecting with that. And they always said it was just like that level of transparency that I had, that I was able to essentially like give them everything they needed to know from like a sense of like behind enemy lines, you know what I mean? From the other side. Yep. And like, I can share it with them because I have no like skin in the game. Like, I'm not trying to cover up myself or make myself look good. So I can literally talk to them and tell them exactly what it is and why that's happening in their life with that person, or they might be trying to recover from an experience with that person. Yeah. And I can help them recover from that without spending all the time and energy on saying, this person did this, I can't believe they did this, and all that stuff. And we put it back on them. Same way I have ownership. All right, so now we have to take ownership of this. You know what it is, why it happened. Now let's go from there. So that level of transparency, I think, is super rare. And that's what connects women to me.
So it was a very organic evolution, essentially. Like, you didn't start out trying to do what you're doing now. No. It just, you kind of found yourself here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many women are drawn to what you're saying?
Again, I think it's the level of authenticity of my own story. Because a lot of times people that were in my position will try to protect themselves or make themselves look good because they haven't done the work. Yeah. So like, when I work with women, I always tell them, like, obviously the more transparent you are with me, the more I can help you. But it's a two-way street. Like, I have 100% level of transparency. So if you ever want to know anything about me specifically, why I did something or why I didn't do something, I'll literally give it to you. So like, I feel like what's missing from a lot of women's healing journey or them feeling like themselves again is like the own firsthand insight. Like, another woman can tell them, you're this, you're that, you're like, you're deserving, you're worthy, and all that stuff. But there's only a certain person that can tell them, he did this or they did this because of what they were going through or whatever. And they projected it onto you like it was never yours. And that's like the missing piece for a woman to understand, that it was never yours. There's nothing that you didn't ask for it or anything. It was all based off, again, safety that got you there. And then that like turns one light on for them, and they can start to see like what's in the room.
So with that, then do you think that majoritively women are struggling with issues due to or because coming in contact with men?
I wouldn't say directly men. I think obviously as you go on through life and you start having relationships, men become the common denominator. But whatever that man or men brought to the table was something they've already experienced. So all that men's just bringing up, they're essentially highlighting that point of trauma that changed how you show up in life.
Okay. So
Does that make sense?
But where they're meeting you at now is generally because of a relationship issue?
So relationship issue, or like so many failed relationships that they just kind of like turn themselves off from life in general, from just saying, I'm done with relationships, I'm done with feeling good, I'm just here to exist for my kids, or just do whatever. This is the way it is from here on out based on everything I've been through.
Sure.
And so once we flip that narrative, they're like, oh my God, my life is just starting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When women come to you, have they tried a bunch of other stuff before and it hasn't worked?
Yeah, a lot of women have tried like traditional therapy. And at the beginning, I tried traditional therapy. It didn't work for me, but it seems like more women than not that have tried therapy, they just feel like they're rehashing the situation and like reliving the situations over and over. And there's never like that step towards ownership, because it's hard to understand the difference in ownership of your responses based and not the ownership of what happened to you. So like sometimes the message gets mixed up and they feel like they have to take ownership of like whether it's childhood abuse or like an abusive relationship. That's not yours. What yours is the response and how you choose to respond from here. And a lot of women don't realize that. But if you can take ownership of your response and see it for what it is, you'll do the same thing. So now my response to anything is what I take ownership of. So if you choose to get back into a relationship or you choose to start over fresh, either way, that's yours.
Yeah.
And then from there, like you've already proven, all of us have proven that we can create whatever life we want. That's how we get here. And so if you know that, then your life actually starts.
Great. I remember what I was going to ask you.
Okay.
Do you find that in going through trauma, because you experienced it yourself, but now you're helping women, do you find that men and women heal differently?
I wouldn't say heal differently.
Maybe
would say
process is a better word.
I would say women are more driven to find healing, and men are more willing to suppress it and just like grit their teeth and ride it out. Whereas women are more adamant about trying to find it. It's just harder for them to find it.
Why?
I think because most women have so many different roles, whether it be mother, whether it be partner, whether it be sister, whether it be daughter, whether it be boss, whether it be employee. Those are all different hats, right? Whereas like a dude, he might have a child and all that stuff, but he'll suppress his stuff just becoming a workaholic. And like more of society, like that guy is super successful, like good for him, right? Whereas like a woman that becomes a workaholic and neglects her child, society's more like, look at this woman neglecting her child. So I would say there's definitely more pressure on women from a society, which makes it harder for them to navigate the healing, even though they're desperately want it.
Okay. That's interesting. What do you think brings men to the table for healing?
I hate to say it, but rock bottom. So like I said, 99% of the women or people I work with are women. And part of that is because men are more resistant to reach out for help. Mm-hmm. And so like a woman will reach out to me much quicker than a man, because a man will have like, whether it's competition or fear of judgment or fear of seen weak or whatever by another man. And so that's why I feel like men have a harder time. Like when I was struggling the most, and like I said, everything on the outside looked good. Like if I would have went to anybody around me, especially a guy who I wanted to confide in and be like, bro, I'm struggling with this. And if I was like, I'm depressed, they'd be like, what do you have to be depressed about? Mm-hmm. You have all these things going on. And then that would just make me feel even worse. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I think a lot of guys get trapped in that.
Yeah.
Whereas like women, they'll be like, they'll have not a breakdown, but they'll realize that like something has to change. So then they go on that search of trying to find it.
Yeah. I have a lot running through my head right now.
I can tell. Overload.
A little bit. Yeah, I guess because I'm thinking about what you said about societal norms and expectations. And so like...
Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. Is there I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Just asking the questions. Yeah. Is it because like women can't afford to hit rock bottom because they've got like these balls up in the air, and it's a little bit easier for men to mask because they're only, necessarily having to focus on one thing at a time?
I would say rock bottom for women usually looks like them juggling everything.
I think a lot of women are in rock bottom then.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it with clients, with family members, with friends, when they're juggling everything. They're just treading water, and they can't go up and they can't go down. So they're just at the bottom. So I think a woman's rock bottom is surviving and existing, working, making sure kids are taken care of, making sure everybody else is taken care of. And they're just there to fill the roles, which, again, if we go back to the moment we were put on this earth, that's not what you were designed for, right? And one of the very first questions I always ask any woman that I start working with, I simply ask them, who are you? And immediately they start saying, well, I'm a great wife, or I'm a great mother, or I'm a hard worker, I'm an awesome daughter, or whatever that is. And then I have to say, God forbid, but if you woke up tomorrow, no family, no friends, no job, who are you? And they can't answer that, because everything that they think they are just labels and attachments. I'm asking, who's the person that was born and put on this earth? And for a lot of women and men, it's hard to answer that question of who are you?
Identity is hard.
Yeah. Right. And so that's why I say that's what rock bottom looks like. You have no idea who you are. You're just here.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really interesting, because I think a lot more people are at rock bottom than realize. Just because, especially in our culture, identity is what you produce.
Yeah.
And so who we are is what we do. And that goes, that destroys us pretty quickly when it falls apart.
Yeah.
Like on any level.
Yeah. It's the most simple question. It's the hardest question to answer.
For sure. So do you coach people that don't have faith?
Yep.
How do you address identity in that?
As far as
like who you are, why you were created. I'm assuming yours has something to do with God?
Yeah. So you can call it the universe, you can call it high power, you can call it God or whatever. Either way, you were put here. Right. And you were put here for a specific reason. And I can say that, but it's undeniable that you existed for a short time just doing whatever you felt like, crying, laughing, existing. And so like another thing I do with clients is like, let's say you're 7 years old and I showed up at your doorstep as 7-year-old Derek to hang out all day. What would we do? And so they can rethink about all the things they did, whether it's go riding bikes and exploring, whether it's climb trees, whether it's play with Barbies, whatever it may be. All those things are attached to who you are because you did those because you wanted to, because you felt called to. And through a process, we can see where those gifts are supposed to be shining today. So like everything, I don't just like give them like theories or hypotheses. I just use their actual examples of their own life so that they can see it. So I'm not giving them answers. I'm just showing them where to look.
Yeah. I think it's great that you don't disqualify someone for not having the same belief system, and you still have an answer that is valuable and isn't like, I don't know. I have faith, but I also think that sometimes it can like help can turn into spiritual bypassing, and then it's not really help. It's just you like walk away feeling guilty that you don't trust God enough.
Right.
So,
Right.
do you have people that like can't remember the beginning of their life?
They can't remember for a short time that we worked together, and then they start to remember. They start to remember.
Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you take care of yourself when walking through this all the time with other people?
Well, I have my own mentor that holds space for me. But for me personally, it's just understanding that the only reason I'm here or for anything that happens in my life is because of God. And so everything comes from him. And so that helps me not have to carry so much because it's not my doing. Everything comes from him.
Yeah.
And so for me, that takes the burden off of me, whether things are going really good and I feel like I got to keep it up, or if things are going really bad and I'm struggling.
Yeah.
He's the one that's in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And so that helps me personally.
Good. I do have one question that I ask everybody at the end of each show.
Cool.
Which is, through the lens of your experiences, what does compassion mean to you?
Compassion towards others or just in general?
Take it however you want.
Compassion for me means instead of asking what's wrong with you, asking you what happened to you.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's a great place to start.
Yeah.
That kind of interrupts a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It eliminates a lot of noise. A lot of noise.
Very good. Was there anything I didn't ask you about?
I don't know. Did I miss anything?
I don't know. I just was following my bunny trails, but who knows? I could have like totally
I think we
skipped
covered
over
a
it.
lot.
I think so too. No, it's good. But thank you so much for your
Thank you.
candor, for being willing to sit down and talk about,
Yeah. No problem.
answer all of my questions.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And we'll link to you in the show notes,
Okay.
social media channels, whatever, any website, all of that. So
Okay.
you'll give that to me later, and we'll link to it in the show notes, and people can find you that way.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Human Experience. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share it with your friends and family, share it on social media, and rate and review it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also support the podcast financially by going to my website, thehxpod.com, linked in the show notes, and clicking on Donate. It takes a lot of time and resources to create this podcast, so every little bit helps. Everyone has a story, and I'd love to hear yours. So be sure to check out the show notes for more information about how to stay in touch. Do good and love well.